Syria's fragile unity deal is cracking. In Aleppo, Kurdish-led SDF forces say they were attacked by factions linked to the Damascus-backed transitional government, a dangerous flashpoint after US-brokered talks collapsed. In Suwayda, over 1,000 are dead in brutal sectarian clashes, while Israel bombs Damascus. Amid escalating violence, Syria's interim government turns to Moscow, seeking Russian support to rebuild a fractured state. But on the ground, chaos, not consolidation, is unfolding. The Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, have said that armed factions associated with the country's security forces have attacked some of its positions in the northern province of Aleppo, as efforts by Syria's fledgling government to unify the nation have been hit on several fronts. In a post on X, the group, which controls much of northeastern Syria, claimed the incident took place early on the morning of August 4th in the Deir area.
Our forces repel an attack on our positions in the village of al-Imam. At exactly 3 a.m. on Monday morning, factions affiliated with the Syrian transitional government launched an attack on 4 of our positions in the village of al-Imam, located in the Deir area. Our forces confronted the attack and responded as necessary in defense of our positions and fighters. Clashes ensued and continued for 20 uninterrupted minutes. We emphasize that this repeated aggression constitutes a deliberate escalation and poses a serious threat to the stability of the region. We hold the Damascus government fully responsible for this behavior and reaffirm that our forces are now more prepared than ever to exercise their legitimate right to respond with full force and determination.
The Syrian government said on August 3rd that the SDF had fired rockets at army positions near the Euphrates River in an attempt to infiltrate the area. The SDF said it was responding to an unprovoked artillery assault against civilians. The clashes are the first since US-sponsored talks between the two sides faltered in July. Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa signed a deal with SDF chief Mazloum Abdi in March to integrate his fighters into state forces, but the peace process has faced setbacks. The latest incident came after the Syrian government accused the SDF of injuring 4 soldiers and 3 civilians in the northern city of Manbij on August 2nd. The Defense Ministry called the attack irresponsible, saying it had been carried out for unknown reasons, according to Syria's state news agency SANA. Meanwhile, the SDF, which allied with the United States to help defeat ISIS in the region, blamed the Syrian government, saying it had responded to an unprovoked artillery assault against civilians. Earlier on August 3rd, the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces said that 5 of its members had been killed during an attack by Daesh militants on a checkpoint in eastern Syria's Deir el-Zor on July 31st. The Daesh claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement on August 4th. The SDF was the main fighting force allied to the United States in Syria during the fighting that defeated Daesh in 2019 after the group declared a caliphate across swaths of Syria and Iraq. The Daesh has been trying to stage a comeback in the Middle East, the West and Asia. Deir el-Zor city was captured by Daesh in 2014, but the Syrian army retook it in 2017. In a separate incident, a man accused of practicing tashbih, the abuse of power, and fabricating security reports for the benefit of the former regime was shot dead by unidentified gunmen in Al-Firdaus neighborhood in Aleppo city on August 4th. Between July 13th and 19, intense clashes erupted in Syria's Suwayda governorate between Sunni Bedouins and members of the Druze community. The Bedouins were reportedly backed by factions aligned with the Syrian interim authorities. The violence resulted in the deaths of approximately 1,120 people, including 427 Druze fighters, 298 Druze civilians, 21 Sunni Bedouins, and 354 security personnel linked to the interim authorities. An estimated 175,000 people were displaced during the fighting. Videos posted online showed unidentified armed men in military uniforms executing Druze civilians. In retaliation, Druze militias raided Bedouin villages, took hostages, and forced many civilians to flee. On August 4th, the International Commission of Jurists, ICJ, urged Syrian interim authorities to launch a prompt, impartial, and effective investigation into the crimes committed during the violence.
Perpetrators of atrocities must be held to account, regardless of their political affiliation. The interim authorities must ensure the protection of all religious minorities, including by investigating, prosecuting, and punishing those responsible for the summary executions and other abuses to which they were subjected.
On July 31st, the interim authorities announced the formation of a committee to investigate the Suwayda violence. The ICJ emphasized that accountability must extend to all parties and cover all crimes under international law. The group also called for the transitional justice process, launched under Decree No. 20 of May 17th, to be inclusive and provide justice for all victims, not just those harmed under the previous regime. Tensions in Suwayda remain high. The Druze dominate the city, while Bedouins inhabit its outskirts. On July 16th, Israel, which has its own Druze minority, intervened by striking Suwayda and bombing government targets in Damascus, including the Defense Ministry and Presidential Palace. Earlier on July 31st, an official delegation of Syria's interim government visited the Russian capital Moscow to hold high-level discussions for building potential bilateral relations between the governments of the two countries in various fields. Syria's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, Asad al-Shaibani, confirmed in a speech that the Syrian officials convened with senior Russian counterparts, including President Vladimir Putin, during the visit, which is the first of its kind since the fall of Syria's former president, Bashar al-Assad. Al-Shaibani expressed optimism that the meetings between the two sides will enhance bilateral relations and pave the way for future cooperation.
Our talks today with several officials in Russia, including the head of intelligence, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and President Vladimir Putin, were very good. And there is a common desire between Syria and Russia to open new relations, turn the page on the past, and transform the historical relationship between the Syrian and Russian peoples into common interests. We are in a phase that is full of challenges, however. There are still significant opportunities for a strong and unified Syria. We are looking forward to having Russia by our side on this path.
Al-Shaibani pointed out that the rapprochement with the Kremlin is part of the Syrian government's efforts to achieve balance in political relations in the Arab world, regional countries, and the international community. He also asserted that the new Syria under the administration of Ahmad al-Sharaa has worked on filling the political and civilian vacuum, and even that related to services, and that it was able to face all the challenges, which aimed to spread chaos in the region. However, the Syrian official noted that there will be further challenges ahead for the new government, which entails Russia's support for Syria. Meanwhile, the Syrian authorities also expressed their readiness to work in close partnership with IOM to strengthen coordination mechanisms that support and promote the effectiveness and sustainability of its operations. The International Organization for Migration also welcomed the formal approval by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Syrian Arab Republic to re-establish an official in-country presence and expand humanitarian operations across Syria.